Enough. Oh no, let's find this. Okay, so. Nope. We'll start the meeting in a few minutes. Got some guys setting up outside. Beautiful clear night for it. Cheong, got it. Yes, thank you. Names.
Did anyone ever find an iPad around here?
An iPad?
I think I lost it the last time I came out here in June.
I haven't heard of anybody finding one, but I don't know.
If
Just an iPad.
someone from
Too
the
bad.
Waxahachie River Center found it, maybe it said over in their offices.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be worth checking.
Hi, Steve.
Right. No, it works on my phone, but it doesn't work on my computer. But my computer is 10 years old, so
Was Zoom
what do they call that?
Was Zoom even around 10 years old?
What?
So hi, Dan.
You know, it's an old Mac.
Kerry.
Michael,
There are
Jan,
a lot of people there.
Peter, Bobby, Cindy, Marcia.
All right. Lunch meeting. I want to get it on my big screen, but it doesn't work. It did all the updates too. I don't know why it didn't do that. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's gonna be two of me.
Recording in progress.
It'd be absolutely beside you. Better shut off your speaker or microphone on one of them.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. Better.
Yes.
Sorry. Gotta have a little humor, right?
Craig, are you still in the Quad Cities or did you go back home?
I left after the partial. I left about 1:30.
Okay.
Sam, long time no see. Long time.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah. It's not the best I can do.
Are we still signing just the one book?
Oh, man,
Yes,
oh, one book now, there used to be two books.
we're completely merged now.
Okay.
You wanna sit here, they
Or
will
that-
they will be able to see you.
Oh. Who do we have?
Here in the upper center there, you can see all of us here. Oh,
See
you got
Mike,
both screens, yeah.
it's like romper room. I see Mike, I see Dan, I see Craig.
I see Marcia, Jan, Cindy, Peter, Bobby, and
I think that.
so which one of you is that?
He has like the shows mixed up, right? Romper room and the Brady Bunch. No, they don't go together.
He's too young.
Wrong age.
You just heard about those.
Old, but not that old. All right, let's get started.
Yeah, I would say go ahead and start.
Yes.
John may join us online out in the dark.
Yes, we have some people out here in person. So we're gonna try to keep this meeting short and sweet because we got some people who are itching to do some observing afterwards. All right. Here, okay. All right, so recent past events. We had a very successful event at the Quad City Hindu Temple on September 23rd. So there are only three of us out there, me, Jeff, and John. Yeah, he was out there. But we saw like dozens of people came by to look at the sun through our telescopes, and we got some people grabbing up membership forms, and as one of them has already paid their dues and is now doesn't show up tonight, but yes, so looks like we got a very successful event thanks to one of our recent members. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name, but he's the one who set that up, who arranged that for us. And it sounds like they offer us coming back again some another time. Unfortunately, the clouds started moving in toward the end of that, so we had to cancel our public night at the observatory for that night. Come on in.
We're in the right place?
For the Quad Cities Astronomical Society,
All right,
you're in the right place.
all right.
Come on in.
Sorry, we're a little late. It was unclear exactly what was allowed to drive on and what wasn't.
We just started.
Yeah.
Just start. What are your names?
Christopher Eberly?
Christopher Eberly.
Yes.
You emailed me.
I did, emailed me back. Great.
Yes.
Well, good to see you. Glad you found it, especially as it starts to get dark, it gets to be more difficult.
It was a little challenging.
And then you can see,
Ashley Ragsdale.
then you can see we've got some numbers around the Quad Cities online.
Yep. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Matt Brown.
Matt Brown, you emailed me as well.
For a couple of years.
Okay.
Oh, you were? Okay. Okay, so, and then our most recent public events, quote unquote, were for the partial solar eclipse and an observatory public night, both this past Saturday, both completely clouded out. Welcome to the Midwest. All right. So upcoming events. This Thursday, the Quad Cities Women's Outdoor Club contacted me asking for a private event out here at the observatory. And John Baker, Byron Davies, and Cecil Ward have volunteered to help me out with that. They're expecting about 16 to 20 people coming out. Starting at, they're gonna be here at 6:45. They told me in the recent email. I'm gonna be here by about 6 o'clock to get things ready. But both me and the club are keeping an eye on the weather for Thursday, just to see what happens. And those of you volunteering to help out, I'll keep you in the email loop as to how it's happening.
I looked on that website for the Outdoor Women's Club. They said it's a potluck coming here. Do you know anything about that?
They told me it's a potluck. They asked me if they should bring tablecloths. I had to tell them that there's no available table here in the classroom. Certainly nothing that accommodates 16 to 20 people. So she emailed back and saying, well, she wasn't sure if maybe they skip the potluck and just bring snacks or something. And then November 8th, Father Andrew Rauenbuehler contacted me asking for a private event for Assumption High School at Our Lady of Victory. I think he says expecting about 30 to 40 high school students want to come out. That is Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, exactly 1 week after our next board meeting. And Cecil Ward, Dana Taylor, and Steve VanHyfte contacted me, say they could help out with it. Is that John joining online?
Yes.
Must be. It's
Yes.
see you. Right. And then November 11th, we have our club's next public night. Again, we'll see what the weather does. And then November 20th is our club's annual dinner we're gonna have that at the Royal Dynasty Buffet in Davenport. That's on 6 p.m. Actually, wait a minute, I just forgot to do this. Hang on a minute. Share my screen. There we go. Okay. Now you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so yes, our annual banquet is on Monday, November 20th. That'll take the place of our regular Monday meeting. Well, we'll have like a really short meeting there, maybe a quick little presentation. This will start at 6 p.m. The banquet on November 20th. I'll send out email reminders as we get closer to it. And that's also the time when we have our annual board elections. And so, yes, we are in need of at least a new treasurer and secretary for 2024. So if anybody is interested in nominating someone or nominating themselves, please feel free to do so. We'd like to have all the nominations in by about 2 weeks before that, so by November 6th. And I should also point out, this is my 3rd year as president, so officially it's time for me to step down and make way for someone else to take the reins. So if anybody would like to be president next year, please let us know. Don't all jump in at once, please, one at a time. And then December 9th is our last public night for the year out at the observatory again. After that, well, the thing is about in the winter months, they don't plow around here. So, I mean, we schedule the public nights, but I mean, if the snow is too deep, we can't have them out here just as a matter of course. So, but we'll talk more about that later. I should also point out that despite the phenomenal attendance we have here tonight, this will be our last general meeting at the observatory. But for nothing else, because again, the winter months make it difficult to come out here, but also, so So the November 20 meeting, of course, that's the Royal Dynasty. Our December general meeting, I've arranged to use the Gottlieb conference room at St. Ambrose University for that night. Now it's so far it's just for that night. I'm working on arrangements to get us a permanent room at St. Ambrose for all future meetings. I'll keep the membership up to date on how that's going.
So let me comment on this, especially for some of the newer members. We traditionally have met in the Quad Cities. Then when COVID came along, we started to meet online, either exclusively, and then eventually we did both online and in person somewhere in the Quad Cities, frequently at St. Ambrose. Then the suggestion was, gee, we're an astronomy club, maybe it'd be a good idea as part of the meetings to do some observing. So we said, okay, let's try that, and kind of an experiment. So let's have 3 meetings out here. Although it's a longer drive then for the people, most of the people that live in the Quad Cities area, it makes it a longer drive to get here. And so then if it's a cloudy night, you can't observe anyway. So, you know, it's kind of a difficult thing. So we said, well, we'll still consider this an experiment. And then next year we'll just have to talk about, do we want to repeat that? Fortunately, tonight was clear. So a few people brought telescopes and cameras. So as Dr. Mitchell said, we'll try to make this a short meeting and then let those people get on with it. Those of us that are here can look through their telescopes or watch what they're doing, taking pictures. So like I said, it was an experiment. Next year we'll have to decide, do we want to have some of the meetings out here or scrap the idea and just come out here on other nights.
On that. Yeah.
Any questions? Right. Anybody bought any new gear recently?
I bought a mount.
Give us a quick rundown.
I bought a Daystar quartz.
Good.
Who's that?
So that was John, and that's a hydrogen alpha filter that kind of looks like an eyepiece that you stick in an existing telescope, and I think he's just got it, so he's kind of learning how to use it.
This is for solar viewing.
Yes, for solar view.
Oh, okay. So Steve had the mount and John has a filter.
Yeah, John has the solar filter. Steve said he bought a new to him mount. It's a classic older mount. I don't know, you want to make any more comments about it, Steve?
Yeah. You know, a lot of times when people get in a hobby or interest, you know, they want to get in it and then they want to get out of it. And so I got a mount and I got a whole bunch of extra stuff that kind of came up at the last minute that he just shipped me to with it. And it's all astrophysics stuff. And it's, so I bought their baby mount that's about 30 years old. It's a 30-year-old design. So it's not a new mount. It's not a go-to mount or a robotic mount. But it's machined. It's all machined. So it's very nice, and it's all anodized, and it's in mint condition. I mean, I'm surprised that I knew right away that the first time I took it out, I would put more nicks in it than what it had in the last 30 years, you know. But it's just a little bit bigger than maybe a Great Polaris mount, so it's not very big. Okay, it's just a little bit more heavy duty than what was available in the early 1990s. But I'm happy with it. It has a quartz drive on it, and so it's not and it's just a stepper motor system, so it's not a servo, it's not a go-to. But it does have a it's one of the first mounts, I think, that had an ST4 port, so you can use an auto guider with it. So I've only had it out twice. I'm still trying to, when you've only had a mount out twice for a couple hours, it's just, you're just kind of just trying to get, used to it. But so far it's real nice. I think that I found an old astrophysics catalog, and it's about in the early about mid 1990s prices, it would be about $4,000. It was $4,000 worth of equipment. And I guess in that today's prices, that's almost $8,000. And I only paid $1,500 for it. So
Did you find that on
so
cloudy nights?
that was on Astromart.
Astromart, okay. So an online,
So
I don't know if you guys are familiar with those, but fun places to look at a lot of equipment. And Steve has a 4-inch refractor, so it's a, very capable mount for that.
yeah, it's a nice match because they're both machined. So let's see here. It has a wood tripod, so it's that kind of a vintage kind of a thing. I don't know what else more to say about it.
Okay, thanks for the info.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I added to my Optilong collection of builders. I bought the Ultimate. I have the L Pro, the L Extreme, the Ultimate, and the Triad Ultra.
Optilon filters. Anyone else? Anyone got gear for sale?
I have a Celestron C Gem mount for sale.
Any asking price at this time?
$600.
600.
They sell for about, sell for about 1,700 now. But it's sitting in my basement, so.
How much have you used it?
Every day.
Oh, I really haven't used it at all. It's just been collecting dust.
So is the C-Gem a go-to mount, Cecil?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay,
It's a
Auto
step
guide
up of
whole-
the
everything.
CGM, you said?
yeah, CG.
Yep.
CGEM, right?
Celestron C Gem.
8-pound payload.
Okay.
Very good mount.
For how much?
$600, you said.
It's good buy. It is. I've got
If you
one.
need one.
I've got one, and I got the C-Gem 2 out here on the telescope on it right now. They're excellent workhorses.
I'm thinking about it. I don't have a tube yet,
And if I don't need that mount, then I also don't need the Pole Master or the ASI Pro. Don't need either one of those either. So those are I'll probably put those up for sale as well.
What do you want for the pole master?
Whatever like half price is. I don't know what they cost. Probably like $150 or something.
So it has the adapter for the C-Gem, is that it?
Yeah.
That helps you polar align the scope.
Oh,
The mount.
the mount.
Yeah. Nice thing. Really, they're. You can tell you a little more about that.
Yeah, yes, they've used one on the 14-inch in there a couple of times.
Of course, if you're buying a celestial mount, you can probably buy a Star Sense that works with all the all the mounts very well. It does kind of like the same thing as the pole master. It's automatic.
And Cecil, the other thing you have is, what is the other thing you have? Is that a camera?
No, it's the ASI Pro. Basically, it's designed for photography, where you tell it what you want to shoot, and you tell it how long and how many exposures, and it does it automatically. If you had an observatory with a roof, it'll roll the roof off. I mean, it does all sorts of stuff. But primarily, it's for deep sky photography.
A lot of our
What are
members.
you selling that for?
What?
What are you selling the air for?
Again, whatever half price is. I don't know what prices go for these days.
It's usually about $150 what they're selling for right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what. Like I said, this is brand new. It's never been used. It's been opened up and looked at, and that's about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good product.
So it's out there for. Because I'm never gonna use any of it. And I've got a 6-inch f4 astrograph that I probably won't use. So this is kind of time to clean house.
I'm heading outside.
Get out of here. Go take some pictures.
Yeah.
Sounds like people are getting impatient making their scopes, so. Shall we continue on?
Yep.
All right, so. Well, with all this hype in the news about asteroids, with the return of samples from asteroid Bennu and the launch of the Psyche probe, I thought it might be not a bad idea to put together a little presentation on asteroids for anybody who's interested. Let's see here. Get this ready. All right. So we used to do presentations during a lot of our meetings, and kind of fell out of the habit. So, but we're trying to get back into the habit, you know. So if there's anybody's got some topic they'd like to talk about during upcoming meetings, please feel free to send your suggestion along. All right. So raise your hand honestly, who had an Atari 2600 system when they were kids?
Does it count if it was an older family members?
Yes, yes, it does. Okay, so, well, the story about asteroids begins in the 1700s. So this is a little scale model of the first 6 planets in our solar system. I can't see my cursor there, unfortunately. Oh, okay, there it is. So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then there's this, relatively speaking, big gap between Mars and Jupiter. And a lot of astronomers were convinced that there had to be a planet somewhere in that gap. There was some mathematical / spiritual reasons they gave, but well, whatever reason they thought, people started searching for it. And on New Year's Day, 1801, very first day of the 19th century, Giuseppe Piazzi discovered what we now call Sirius. And it soon became clear that Sirius was a lot smaller than either Mars or Jupiter. And to make it a little bit more confusing, over the next 6 years, 3 more new planets, quote unquote, were discovered in that same gap. Pallas was the next one, then Juno, and then Vesta. And for a while, that seemed to be it. Just little just 4 more planets that school kids had to memorize in class, and that school kids had to memorize. Then in 1845, a fifth object was discovered in their Astrea, and from there on, well, as it says up there, the floodgates opened. Until nowadays, the current known count of asteroids in our solar system is 1,308,871. Long before that happened, astronomers decided there was just too many for kids to try to memorize all the names of that many planets. So that's when they shunted them off into their own category of asteroids. We're kind of experiencing the same boat these days with Pluto and its brothers and sisters out beyond Neptune. The debate over whether Pluto should be considered a full-fledged planet or not is still going on. But going back to the asteroids, as you can see from this diagram here, which honestly I think only dates to 2006. So, but nevertheless, even today, it still shows that most are in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. At this point, I should point out that despite how crowded the field looks there, the fact is, in real life, our asteroid belt is nowhere near as crowded as was suggested by that asteroid chase scene in The Empire Strikes Back. In fact, if you were standing on any one asteroid in our system's asteroid belt, chances are you wouldn't even be able to see the next closest one. They're that small and, relatively speaking, that far spaced apart. In fact, all the probes that we send to the outer solar system from Pioneer 10 up through New Horizons, they had no trouble at all getting through the belts. No difficulties whatsoever. Well, one thing you might notice other thing you notice in this diagram is not all asteroids are in the belt. Thousands more are what we call Trojan asteroids, which what happens there is if you combine the gravitational force of the sun and a major planet like Jupiter, there are a couple of little gravitational sweet spots in that same orbit where if you put a small object like an asteroid, it'll be in a stable orbit there forever and ever. And Jupiter's, well, Jupiter has most of the Trojan asteroids we know about, 60 degrees ahead of Jupiter in its orbit. That swarm's known as the Greeks, and 60 degrees behind Jupiter in its orbit. Jupiter's not the only one. Neptune has a few known Trojan asteroids sharing its orbit.
So what do they call them, Trojan?
Because the first one that was discovered was named after a character in Homer's Iliad about the Trojan War. And they just decided to keep up that tradition when more and more were found.
It has nothing to do with them sneaking into the orbit in the middle of the night and staying there like Trojans and the horse.
If these asteroids had snuck into Jupiter's orbit, it was at least millions and millions of years ago. Basically, just wandering around the solar system and just ended up getting caught there. But yeah, so Neptune has a few, Mars has a few, even Earth has a few known Trojan asteroids. Really tiny ones, like I think probably no more than a mile or so across. And
So do they orbit about the same speed as Jupiter?
they orbit same speed as
So
Jupiter.
they're in sync, so they never catch up.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like you will never see the asteroids around Jupiter, right?
They're not going to fall out of this region all the way into Jupiter or somewhere else. No, I mean you see them like wobbling back and forth around those sweet spots, but they are stable orbits. Those are stable gravitational points. And then, of course, there are the near-Earth asteroids, which they're grouped into 3 different categories. Let's see, See, the Amor group, their entire orbit is outside of Earth, but their perihelions do come fairly close to Earth. So, I mean, it's very unlikely, but not impossible that they might get close enough to cause some worry. The Apollo group, those near-Earth asteroids, they do cross Earth's orbit. And technically, their average distance is greater than Earth's from the sun. The A10 group, they also cross Earth's orbit, but their average distance from the sun is less than that of Earth. So that's the distinction between them. And actually, more recently, a new group of asteroids was discovered, now called the Atira group. Their entire orbits are inside Earth's orbit. And the main reason that we haven't detected them until so recently is because if you're going to try to look for asteroids, trying to look toward the sun is not a very good idea. It's not convenient at all. So those particular asteroids are always, I mean, the closer you are to the sun, the harder it is to detect you. Now, it doesn't stop us from trying, as yeah, I mean, any near-Earth asteroid, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that it might impact Earth one day. So that's why astronomers are sparing a lot of time and expense looking for them. And to date, we're pretty confident we found well over 90% of all of those that are more than 1 kilometer or 0.6 of a mile wide.
No,
Yes? So I thought somebody. But yeah, so those would be the extinction level impacts. Yeah, we definitely want to find all of those. Yeah. No. We haven't
Uh-oh.
found.
who was that?
Neilssen.
Is there a question?
Not too bad.
Ah,
That is all right.
They don't know that we're not here.
I had my mount set up for ASCOM,
Mhm.
and then I got
You're on Zoom.
Well, the asteroids that are smaller than that are not necessarily extinction level, but they can still cause major damage at the impact. I mean, even some that are like 150 feet wide or smaller could seriously devastate an entire city. And the smaller an asteroid is, the more often on average it does impact Earth. And we've had a few of ones this small come in historical or near prehistorical times. In fact, both of these events here were caused by, we figure they were both caused by asteroids or similar objects only about 100 to 130 feet wide. The Tunguska impact, now that one exploded in midair, but we figure it was about like 130 feet wide, a stony asteroid made mostly of stony materials. It exploded in midair with a force of, yeah, like how much was
A lot.
many megatons, I'm sure. Yeah, blasted, flattened trees for miles around in Siberia, except for directly below the explosion, where the trees were completely stripped of all their branches and leaves. And basically now they're just all 10 poles standing up like that. And then anybody been to Meteor Crater in Arizona?
Okay.
So have I. That was all, we figure that was also caused by a 130-foot wide asteroid, only this one made of nickel iron. And it blasted a crater a full kilometer wide. So, and yes, I've been there. It is that big. So, we've been fortunate that neither of these events happened near heavily populated areas. But more recently, a 60-foot wide stony asteroid exploded about almost 20 miles above the ground near Chelyabinsk in Russia. That was in 2013. They figure the blast yield of that one was 400 to 500 kilotons. And are you all right? Does everyone still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can't see any charts or anything, but we can hear you.
Well. But yeah, one thing I just read about recently, there was another asteroid, provisionally designated 2008 TC3. It was discovered in October 5th, 2008, and almost immediately found to be on a collision course with Earth. Unfortunately, this one was only about 10 feet wide. It exploded very high up in the atmosphere, much too high to cause any damage. And basically, the only thing we got out of it was some nice new meteorite fragments in the desert of northern Sudan. But I think it was one of the first times that one of these was actually discovered and its orbit plotted before impact. So, I mean, honestly, when we get right down to it, Earth actually gains at least 100 tons of extraterrestrial material every day, mostly in the form of dust and like the tiniest little space rocks. Well, I never actually saw the. Are there any questions at this point?
No question, but the Tunguska, the remnants looks very, very similar to what Hiroshima looked like, with the buildings directly under the blast still standing while the rest of the area was flattened. Very, very similar, because that bomb was also exploded above the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So you could kind of see the similarities, and that's one reason you could tell that it actually exploded above the Siberian forest, because the two are almost identical.
Probably at least similar yields, yes.
Yeah, so it was kind of one of those interesting little things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we know how much theoretical mass in the total amount of asteroids there is? I mean, is there a possibility that there's actually enough mass there for a small planet?
As far as to what astronomers have calculated, if you gathered every asteroid in the entire solar system together into one solid mass, it would still be smaller than our own moon. What astronomers theorize is that even if there used to be enough mass in that part of the solar system to make a full-fledged planet, the influence of Jupiter's gravity kept throwing all those planetary building blocks out of their orbits. A lot of them fell into the sun, a lot more impacted onto the inner planets. Even more may have been chucked out of the solar system altogether. So what's left in the asteroid belt right now are just the scant leftovers from Jupiter's gravitational influence.
Well, isn't there at least one or two of them that has a multi-core or the remnants of a multi-core, which would make one think it was at a center of a larger sphere? I won't say planet. It seems like I remember reading there's one of them that they may be going to, which is a solid metallic core.
Psyche, yeah, Psyche is like
Psyche.
It's a completely metallic asteroid, and that's one of the reasons we're sending a probe to it to try to. Hi, Matt. To try to see if it was did indeed used to be the core of a more massive protoplanet that got blasted apart by some ancient collision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I never saw the movie Armageddon, but I've heard snippets. Something in there is about Earth was about to be hit by an asteroid the size of Texas. Yeah, well, this is the only asteroid in the entire solar system that even comes close to being Texas-sized, and it is safely within the asteroid belt. And in fact, we no longer even call it an asteroid anymore because it's massive enough to have molded itself into a spheroidal shape. So officially, that makes it a dwarf planet. And I don't know how differentiated it is, but there's a lot of indication that it may have a layer of at least water ice underneath it. And in fact, you see that bright spot near the center? We think those are salt deposits left behind from when ancient water gushed out from the interior and spread on the surface and then later evaporated.
When it's Ambrose Willis there, I'll find out what's going on.
He forgot how to get there.
Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah, well, but yeah, Cirrus is an exception to the asteroid belt. Most other ones you're going to find, they're very irregular lumps like these, which are rare close-ups taken by, I think some of them from the Galileo spacecraft and maybe the Cassini spacecraft, which were had to be deliberately steered close enough to take these photos of them on their way to the outer planet, to the outer gas giants. And a couple of things we've learned recently is that some asteroids have their own moons. In fact, Ida has a moon. It's not shown in this photo, but it has like a tiny little 1 mile wide moon called Dactyl in a close orbit around it. And so does Didymos here, has a moon Dimorphos, we can see to the upper right of it. And well, this also, some asteroids are not solid lumps of rock or metal, but are actually rubble piles. They're just very loose collections of small pieces that are very weakly held together by their own gravity. Basically, just like if you had a handful of a pile of gravel in your hand, that's all they are. And we got some super close-up images of this one when we sent the DART probe to slam into the Didymos moon here. Oops, see if I can make.
So what makes a moon a moon? I mean, as opposed to just being a satellite.
I don't know. I hear satellite used more often than not for artificial ones. Although I suppose moon and satellite can be interchanged.
Well, the fact that it orbits another larger body.
It's a satellite.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it a satellite.
Is there a difference for the way it's sitting in? So,
Let me just pause here for a second. You notice the distinct lack of craters on Dimorphos here? That's a good indication that you're looking at a rubble pile. Yeah, so basically if another rock slams into it, instead of gouging out a solid crater, it'll basically just kind of embed itself into the... Yeah, which did have a lot of astronomers worried that if one of these rubble piles was in a collision with Earth, then our usual idea of how to blow them up or deflect them might not work if it's just a loose collection of rubble. But as it turns out, during this little test, the impact did change Dimorphos's orbital period around Didymos, shortening it by 32 minutes. So it did show that even if it is a rubble pile, an impact can potentially knock an asteroid off course. And the further ahead of time that you impact it, the smaller the nudge is necessary to deflect it away from Earth. Grab a seat. We're talking about asteroids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm now coming to the part of anybody thought about trying to find an asteroid from in your backyard telescope?
Yeah, we used a 20-inch one time to look at Ceres.
How'd that go?
It's pretty cool. It looks like the Death Star.
You sure
it
you
has like this gray. it has a gray cast to it. You know, it's kind of like looking at, you know, like one of the outer planets, like Neptune. So it looks like a tiddlywink, you know, a poker chip flipped out, you know, and you're seeing it across the room, kind of, and you can't see any detail, but it is neat if you've got a large scope, some good seeing, and kind of high power, you know. So you got your seeing is working for you, but it is worth the look.
Were you saying it appeared to be more than just a point of light?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, you can see a disc. It's just like when you're seeing I think Uranus or Neptune. You know, you're looking at the background skies, it's just a point of light, then all of a sudden there's the poker chip. You know.
Okay.
So but I think I took Jay out once or so. There were some people with me the night that we looked at it, and then how we found it is that we used the digital setting circles, and then I think I had an old version of the Sky astronomy software for an old laptop that I used to have, like the Sky 98 or you know, and you know, it was very easy to find the right ascension declination and write it down on a piece of paper, and then just go ahead and just use the digital setting circles. We didn't have any trouble finding it, and it was a worthwhile look.
That's good. Well, fair to say though, Cirrus is an exception when it comes to seeing actual discs for them. So yeah, more often than not, spotting an asteroid in your backyard telescope is going to be about finding a star-like object, a very tiny disk, if you're lucky, that moves from night to night relative to the real stars. So, but fortunately, as Steve brought up, you can use software, use websites or magazines. They will publish sky maps that can show you where to find some of the brighter asteroids. This one I found online. It was it's a star map from 2014 on a rare occasion when Sirius and Vesta were making a conjunction. So two of the brightest asteroids. That was in northeastern Virgo, if I remember correctly. It's like there's Gamma Virginis or Porima there to the lower right. And then I pulled a few charts off inthesky.org. I can show you where some of the brighter asteroids are right now. This is, unfortunately, I couldn't find any broader maps on that website that would show where these little insets fall onto the bigger night sky. But I can at least tell you this Juno right now is somewhere between Leo and Hydra. And right now you can only see it after about 4 a.m. in the morning. Sirius and Pallas are lost in the glare of the sun right now. Vesta is between Gemini and Orion, and currently in magnitude 8. It can get up to magnitude 6.5, which officially makes it visible to the unaided eye if you've got totally dark skies and the eyes of an eagle. And no air pollution whatsoever. And then I brought up Melpomene here. That's asteroid number 18 because right now it's almost as bright as Vesta. And I brought Metis here because this one is very, very close to a couple of fairly bright stars in Gemini. So at least here you've got some idea of where you can find it on your usual sky charts. I was experimenting with the Stellarium the other day, and yeah, if you go into the configuration window and add some plugins, there are plugins that will let you put more asteroids and their orbital data into Stellarium than is what's standard. Is anyone here not familiar with Stellarium? It's free astronomy software. It's a free download
on your cell phone.
on your cell phone and your laptop. It's basically gives you a home planetarium.
Okay.
Show you what's in the night sky. You can set it for different days and times, forwards and backwards in history. See what's going to be up in the sky next week. Zoom in, zoom out. Gives you a whole bunch of information. Click on an object, give you a whole bunch of information on it. You can set it to show the lines for the constellations if you want. Sky grids.
Okay. Have to definitely look at that.
It's Stellarium.
Oh, definitely look at it.
Yes, absolutely. Where most of us use it.
Okay.
I use it for all setups. For whatever scope and camera I'm gonna use and where it's at in the night sky. And if it's available. I have it up right now. Actually.
Yep. With add-ons, you can even use it to control a telescope that's has a compatible go-to system.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We use it on our 14-inch in here. Hello again. All right. So I'm coming toward the end here, but to finish off with some explorations that space agencies are doing to try to discover even more about asteroids. Lucy was launched in 2021, and it's going to visit several of Jupiter's Trojan asteroids. It's we can say it's going to take about 6 years to get there. Way nice, children. All right. Actually, coming up this November 1st, it's due to make a flyby of a main belt asteroid called Dinkinesh. I'm guessing that's one of the tinier ones, but just happened to be on the probe's route. So I think just slight little detour won't harm its future trajectory any bit. And then, yes, of course, OSIRIS-REx made news recently when it returned samples from another asteroid, a rubble pile asteroid called Bennu. And it has a new mission now. It's going to head to the asteroid Apophis, and it's going to start orbiting that beginning in April 2029, just as it's about to make its super close flyby of Earth. This is the one that everybody was talking about several years ago, that they thought there was a chance it was going to hit Earth either in 2029 or 2036. They've ruled those out now, but that doesn't alter the fact that Apophis is going to pass within 20,000 miles of Earth. It's actually going to pass inside the orbit of our geostationary satellites. So yes, Elon, you might want to think twice about sending so many satellites up there right there between now and then. Well, good news for us is that it'll actually be visible to the naked eye during flyby that close, and will pass across at closest approach, it'll pass across our sky at the angular rate of 42 degrees per hour. I think you actually be able to see it. I wonder if you'd actually be able to see it move with the unaided eye, if you happen to be in the right location on Earth for it when that happens. And then, like a day later than we were hoping, but this past Friday, the Psyche probe was launched, and it is headed toward the largest known metallic asteroid in our solar system, the same name, Psyche. And you notice that's going to take 6 years to get there as well. The fact is that with fuel as precious as it is right now, NASA can't just send probes directly there, but in order to save fuel, they have to take these roundabout routes that use gravity assist from planet after planet in order to finally get it to its destination. And well, one last thing I thought I brought up. Now, normally in class, in public events observatory, I have one very important rule: check your politics at the door. That being said, there was a grassroots third party that has been gaining popularity since before the 2020 election. And just for the hell of it, I'll give them a shout out. So let's see how many votes they get in 2024. Any questions?
That'll be about the equivalent to Biden. I think it's real. I think.
So one thing to add to this is, we used to have a member of this club who moved to Alabama 20-some years ago. But he had a friend down there that he met that was a amateur astronomer that had a 16-inch computerized telescope, and he searched for asteroids. Now, this was probably 15 or 20 years ago. Most of those have been found now of the brightness level that he could locate, but I think he found 20 or 30 asteroids. And basically the technique was, you know, the belt is in a certain area of the sky, and so he would, every night, he would just take pictures, and he would take 3 pictures, maybe 2 minutes each, separated by a couple minutes, and then he would just do the blink comparator and look, and you know, the stars, even on multiple shots, are going to be in the same place. But if it's an asteroid, it's moving enough that in that 9-minute period of time, he would see it, you know, kind of blink back and forth. And then he would immediately call it in as soon as he had located one, because somebody else probably was going to discover it the next day if he didn't. So.
Blink comparator, that's how Pluto was originally discovered.
Yeah, follow up on that is that like if you look at comets, they actively move. So if you like take a photograph, like a, you know, say a minute or 2 photograph of a comet, wait a couple minutes and take another photograph, it does move across the background sky. It won't have a tail typically, but and that's how we found Ceres that night. We were looking, you know, we had the planetarium program, and you could just program anything in, and the 20-inch telescope would pick up. Oh, you can go down to what, about 13th or 14th magnitude or so. So it's a heck of an instrument. It's free, you know. You know, if you're a member of the club and you know how to use a scope.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Mitchell, for putting that program together.
You're welcome. All right. Speaking of photography, does anyone have any new astrophotos to share tonight?
I have one. Craig I have one. On October 2nd, I did the Dark Shark Nebula, where it was very difficult to find. I found a star in its area, HD 211300, and with that, consider it was a dark nebula. I just took a whole bunch of long shots just to confirm its center. And let's see if I can find a picture of it.
You say the Dark Shark Nebula?
Yeah. I think Byron did that last week.
Last month I showed you that.
Last month, yeah. But it's different. It is definitely different. Let me see what I have here. There it is. And what I used was 8-inch HD with a hyperstar using the ASI 126. And let me see here. How come it's not here? Oh, there it is. Okay, it's coming up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and that's what I got. And what I did, what it is, it's in the constellation Cephas. It's next to the star. It's the only thing about ASI air is great, but it doesn't control everything as far as identification and location. So I use the star HD 211300 to find it. And I got about 4.5 hours of shots and not knowing what I was going to get because it never did show up here. I'm going to move over to the next. Can I do that? No, I guess not.
Well, the one
And that is about, that's about a 45-degree rotation with a 3/4 moon pretty much trailing it. So that's all I got because I went on a week vacation and didn't take camera with me. And the last couple weeks, it's been, as much as I tried, it's not been cooperative. So, but that's all I have.
Very nice. Is it me or these red
Well,
lights?
thank you.
You gonna show us yours, Byron?
Yeah, I'm gonna join you back in here.
Okay.
I can.
Byron's working on a few.
Well, let me get it.
What else do you have on the agenda?
Board elections, we kind of covered that and we talked about the dinner, so. And we'll have that, any other business that people want to talk about.
I just have a question about the roll-off roof on the 20-inch building.
What was, Cecil, you had a question about the roll-off roof?
Yeah, on the 20-inch building.
The old roll-off roof, okay.
It's been repaired and it's now working.
Okay, good. I was hoping it wasn't a major problem.
Just one of the pulleys broke, they just had to replace it.
So St. Ambrose took
Okay,
it
good.
relatively promptly, so that was good.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
All set.
Okay, so this, of course, is the bubble nebula, 7635. New general catalog. Now, I took this in my backyard in the city with the Newtonian and that optimal radiant triangle for that quad band filter. That's an accumulation of 15 hours of shots.
Wow.
There you go.
Very nice.
So that turned out pretty good.
Very detailed.
Now I'm gonna go back out of here. And there was another, what is that? It's Sharpless 158 was in there too. Creature. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know triples had eyes.
Oh, and Then I'll.
So the sixties.
Yeah, there you go. I'll show you my dark shark again. Mine's got a little bit more noise in it.
What was that again?
That's the dark shark. LDN.
Very nice.
So. It's a very elusive object.
How long did you expose?
That's probably. I'm guessing they were between 9 to 12 hours, I can't remember.
Yeah, so it looks like a shark with a wide open mouth.
Yeah, and the dark eye and.
and the
Serious
top end.
overbite.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's all I have. I can come up with anyway.
Okay,
That's recent.
Very nice.
good meeting. We said we'd try to make it short so that we could still get out and do a little bit of observing. So I don't know, anybody have any last comments or questions?
Any other business that people desperate to bring up tonight?
I don't know, especially some that haven't been to meetings before. Matt, comments, you haven't been here so long. Okay, thanks everybody. For those of you that are here, let's go out, see what it looks like outside.
Just quick, our next board meeting is November 1st. That's online. And our next general meeting / annual banquet, again, November 20th at the Royal Dynasty, beginning at 6 p.m. Please email an RSVP to the board members if you are going and if you're bringing a guest.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Good meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
We're gonna adjourn second. All right, we're
Thanks,
adjourned.
Robert.
Okay.
See you guys.
I was thinking about upgrading the eyepiece.
Eyepiece?
Yeah, because right now I just have the chip one that come with the telescope, the neat one.
Mhm.
Any suggestion?
Um,
I'm looking at television.
Should I?
Yeah, they're very good.
Likely.
Which telescope?
Set up.
I have a
Couple.
DTS one coming out.
Okay.
So.
Did ATX, go ahead.
So it has a really long focal length.
How far am I actually allowed to drive?
No.
Here? Where can I drive in here from?
I think
There's like three
But that
different
means-
roads